welcome to this episode of The Good, the Bad and the Odd with your hosts, Mark and Sam. Hi, Sam.
Hello there.
So we're on the Hammer Trail again, and yet another movie from 1971, and this isn't the last of them, so they just keep coming. So this is Countess Dracula. Again, it wasn't a vampire film, even though the
Not
title
really,
suggests, but
no.
it was kind
It's
of
heavily blood related.
Blood related.
Though I have to say, I think this is the worst Hammer blood I've seen.
Yeah, it looked orange, didn't it?
Yeah, it looks like first instance of the blood, a girl is chopping a peach and she gets shoved and she cuts herself and there's orange everywhere. I thought they'd just done that as like, this is peach juice. I didn't realise it was supposed to be blood until a couple of minutes later when she was smearing it on her face. Yeah,
it wasn't the proper Kensington gore we're used to with a hammer, was it, at all? It was very odd how it just didn't look red. And it's like, isn't that like basics, right? That's your basics, right?
I don't know, maybe it was like a film stock thing where none of the reds really came through. Because it wasn't a very red film.
No, there wasn't much red in it. You are right. You are right. This one was directed by Peter Sasdy, who directed a few other Hammers. I'm trying to think if I'm just having a quick look to see if. He did Taste the Blood of Dracula. Now that had loads of red in it.
Yeah.
And I quite like Taste the Blood of Dracula. We have done that. Yeah, we've done that. But even though it was a goofy story, I kind of liked it. And he did another one in 1971, weirdly, and we're going to get to that, called Hands of the Ripper, which I remember being a pretty good one. But my memory's been a bit faulty on these rewatches. I remember things being good and they're bad, and I remember things being bad and they're actually all right. So don't hold me to it. Don't hold me to it. But Peter Sasdy. Music by Harry Robertson. So quite atypical for your Hammer. It's usually, Terence Fisher and then Freddie Francis and stuff like that. But it's Peter Sasdy. And written by Jeremy Paul. Again, I don't recall that credit at all. But we do have Ingrid Beat, who... say again?
So I was like, I wonder what else he's done. This.
It was alright though, the music. Ingrid Pitt's the main character, Countess Nadazdi. Nigel Green as Dobie, and Leslie Ann Dan is her daughter. I can't remember her name now. And there was a few other.
Because she pretended to be her when she.
That's right, she did.
Rubbed all the blood on her and started get young.
I think this is the first and only central performance by Ingrid Pitt, though she appeared. She was in Vampire Lovers, wasn't she? And she's been in a few others. What was your general feeling about the film?
I quite liked it, though it felt like it came up with the concept, borrowed the Elizabeth Bathory concept, and then wasn't 100% sure with what to do beyond there.
No,
she kills like 3 people total.
Yeah.
And she kind of immediately goes nuts. And there's no clear plan. It's kind of like watching a more modern Marvel show. Yeah. There's no clear plan of what's going on. It's kind of we did this, and then I guess we'll come up with what we've got to do next, and then the film's over. So
I felt it was quite the kind of fairy story. That's kind of how it felt to me, bit of a fairy story rather than a film as such. But I quite liked it. It was a bit of a costume drama for long stretches. I'll tell you what made it for me was the two main leads, which was Ingrid Pitt and Nigel Green as Dobie. Nigel Green's a great actor. You'd know him. I wonder if you recognise him from anything before I tell you what he was in.
Hang on a sec. Let me...
You definitely know him from one specific film. I know that for sure. But he was a lot younger then, so that might be...
Okay, I can't think of him.
Hercules in Jason and the Argonauts.
Yes, okay, I see it now.
Yeah, you see it now, yeah. But also, he's in one of my favourite films of all time, which I think you may have seen, you may not have. He's the colour sergeant in Zulu. He's the sergeant that takes the roll call.
I've not seen all of Zulu.
I've
seen bits of it.
Okay.
You'll be watching it and you go, hey, come here and watch this. Look, watch this bit. And they're singing Men of Harlech. And it's like, oh, okay, but no context to what's going on here.
Context.
And it's like,
Zulu is not a film. I made a mistake there. It's not a film to dip in and out of. You got to absorb the whole thing, and it's fantastic if you do. But just seeing odds and ends, because for example, the fighting scenes aren't great, apart from the bit where you see the guys applying their firing drills, which is awesome. But the fighting bits aren't great. But the film adds up to way more than the parts if you watch it too. Anyway. Going off on another film. Nigel Green, really good. He died shortly after making this, which is really weird because he didn't look unfit. He was old, but he looked pretty sturdy, didn't he? Though I think it may have been like an overdose and possibly an accidental one because he had some back pain or something. So having said that, that doesn't matter how fit you look, does it? I quite like the old fella, like medic stroke librarian guy played by Maurice Denham.
Yeah, the one that wasn't quite sure if he was talking to the Countess or her daughter at any given time.
Yes.
And even when he was talking to, like, he knew it was the Countess, he's like, I must be remembering something wrong here, because you were young, you were older. And it's like, no, you're just remembering wrong. It's like, okay. And carries on.
Yeah, he kind of knew more than he was letting up. He was almost like a Game of Thrones character to me. In that he was he knew... You kind of got the feeling he knew what was going on, but he was best not knowing, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So what it is this old countess whose husband has died, and they read the will, and she's left his widow half her money, with the daughter getting the other half. This dashing young lieutenant rocks up, who inherits the stables, and apparently these stables are famous throughout the land. You also get a sense the villagers really hate them. As well, early on. One
of the first thing that happens is they just run over a villager.
In
a cart.
Yeah, don't care. When the villagers say, "No, we're starving, please help us."
Yeah, they're like, "Hey, your husband promised us work. Like, can we get paid for that?" And she's like, "Oh, get out of here!" And pushes him off the cart and then runs him over.
Yeah, great. We also got a young Leslie Ann down here as the daughter. It's kind of interesting because she has done some film work, but she's more famous for TV work in the early 70s at least. But I think she's just famous for being famous almost now. I can't recall her being in much towards the later 70s onwards, but she's always a well-known actress. So she's probably in more dramas that I wouldn't have seen. Maybe. I'm not really sure. She's quite a good actress though. When I've seen her in the past. So the lieutenant's called Toth. So essentially, it starts with the this old lady getting really angry about. But you find out Dobie she said he's no fool. He knew what was happening, and then it leads into Captain Dobie has been a lover for many years.
Yeah.
But that's why she only got half rather than everything.
Yeah.
And Dobie's kind of happy with her as she is.
Yeah, he's fine. He's set. He's like, oh, cool, we can marry, we can live together. That's that. She's like, no, I need it all. And he starts like lashing out at all the people around her. And that's where the previously mentioned Peach cutting the hand thing happens with all the orange blood. She gets them on herself. Well, kind of smears it into her face.
But before all that, she tells the maid to run her a bath, and the maid says the bath's ready, and she says, I think it's too hot, or something. Anyway, she deliberately sticks the maid's hand in this hot bath.
Yeah.
I know, that's after she's asked to cool it down, and she goes, it's ready now, and I go, is it? And she just sticks her arm in the bath, and then she says, oh, cut me a peach. While she's doing it, the maid is cutting the peach. She cuts her finger, and the Countess slaps her, but some of the blood splashes on her face, or it looks like carrot juice to me.
It looks like it's some sort of peach juice.
Yeah.
So.
And the maid runs off, but when she wipes her cheek, she realises her cheek's gone all young, and I thought that was okay.
Face. That is a cool effect.
Yeah, it was good. And then eventually. She realises what happened, and she puts the knife in, right?
Pulls the maid back, and then she She kills her and has a bath in her.
Yeah, and is all young and lovely and got
Yeah.
long blonde hair instead of grey hair and all this, that, and the other. And meanwhile, the maid's and her mother, the maid's
mother kinda goes nuts.
who works in the
Yeah.
in the same building, said she's run off. And then some bloke who's kind of in charge says, she's probably in the local whorehouse. And there is a play, which
Dobie says that.
Dobie says that. What
Yeah,
a
Dobie
twat.
said that, and they're like, well, if anyone would know who's in the whorehouses, it would be him.
Yeah,
So they're like, whoa, what is Dobie up to?
And the mother says, no, she was a pure girl, which it comes into play later, doesn't it? It does come into play. Because eventually they find out only virgins work.
Yeah.
She tries it with the town slut, or one of the
Tries it with someone from the whorehouse. So.
Doesn't work. And it's weird because actually there was a point where we saw a chalice, like a big bowl full of the blood, and it is red. It is red in that shot. So I don't know what was going on there. And meanwhile, she has her own daughter kidnapped and taken off by this. I don't know. He's like a Cossacky looking fella who
it's a
can't
weird,
talk.
rapey guy in the woods.
Yeah, he's kind of a. Well, he starts off okay. But then he gets raped.
So.
At one point, though, he makes a grill, and she's eating it, and he's eating it, and she just throws it in his face, doesn't she?
Yeah.
She's constantly trying to escape. It's not having, but then he tries to force himself on her, and that doesn't go well for him, thankfully. No. We also see that Dobie's trying to get virgins, and he buys this young girl from a bloke selling women as slaves.
Yeah.
He says, you can have her for free, but it's 25 crowns for the goat. And things like that. There's also a gypsy woman who's brought in to tell her fortune. Did you recognise the gypsy woman? Because we have seen her.
I did not.
I didn't quite recognise her, but I thought, I know that voice. And when I looked it up, I realised what it was. She was the woman that played Tanith in The Devil Rides Out.
Okay.
Yeah, and she looked quite different, She was done up as a gypsy. But the voice is really distinctive, so I kind of recognise her for that. Very small bit part. I can't say I've ever seen her in anything else. I thought she was quite good as Tanith in Devil Rides Out, but just can't remember seeing her in anything. So it turns out the gypsy girl is a virgin too, because that worked. And she keeps... And then she starts... taking up with the young lieutenant who's inherited the stables. Dobie does not care, does he?
No, Dobie couldn't give
just
a shit.
making a fool of yourself and all that. And I kind of like that about him.
Yeah.
He's not jealous or anything.
Like, if we're going to kill, let's kill. So
he's really not bothered. But then she kind of gets madder and madder. She's saying,
well, I've got to kill my daughter so I can continue to pretend to be her and take everything.
Yeah. Also, the maid, Julie, is involved. She knows and kind of becomes party to all this.
Yeah.
But when they finally bring the daughter in, Julie cannot go through with it because she used to look after her and she was a little girl, right? So that kind of makes sense. I kind of like there's a streak of realism somewhat in this. Not much, but that rings true, right? That rings true. And this film was 90 minutes and it kind of filled it a lot up with intrigue, like going to the library and looking up stuff. Because, for example, they find out it has to be Virgin Bub from the old... what was his name? I can't remember. But he tells Dobie.
The librarian.
Yeah, the librarian guy. His name was... Fabio, right? When he starts getting a bit too close to the truth, or Dobie thinks he does, he gets it too.
Dobie gets it.
And then it's all going okay, but just before
basically
the
a wedding gets planned.
Yeah, a wedding gets planned, and she's gone full mental. Because she wants to kill her own daughter just to stay young. But also they find all these... there was a lot of gratuitous topless shots in this, wasn't there? There was also one bit that made me think, bloody hell, we're getting on to Carry On Hammer. So they're saying... Fabio No, sorry, not Fabio. Dobie takes the lieutenant to the brothel, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And they start talking to this woman who works there, who's got a proper big cleavage. Yeah. And at one point, I think Dobie says something like, they'll make a lovely pair. And the woman says, not as lovely as this pair. And I thought, we're getting into Carry On now.
Yeah.
We're getting into Carry On Hammer. But then Dobie says, come into the castle with me. I'll give you 50 crowns or something.
Yeah.
And she goes, and then it doesn't work out. The lieutenant, I don't know, I can't remember.
It doesn't work as well, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. And Dobie then says, there's another 50 if you... I've got another client for you, but she's a woman. And she says, I'd take on Arabian harem or a Turkish harem for 50 crowns. Anyway, yeah, she dies. And that's the one that doesn't work, right? So they discover all these naked women in a weird cellar behind stuff. And there's also this guy that looks after the kitchen and tells them all, because they're all grumbling, and says, they give you jobs and all, you should be great. He's all that.
This is
right?
a proper bootlicker.
Yeah, and he says, she'll turn up, and then immediately they find her dead in the cellar.
This is also the guy that was like, she's probably at a whorehouse.
Yeah. What charmers. Yeah. Anyway, at the wedding, it's probably the best bit. She's all young and beautiful, but then she ducks her head down, and as soon as she comes up, she's an old lady. Yeah. And the priest's like, he properly freaks out, doesn't he? And then her daughter's at the top of the stairs, and she goes, and see that bit, it was a bit Snow White and the evil stepmother, all that kind of business.
No, it's a point where a couple of times I was thinking, it's like, is she supposed to be the stepdaughter? And not just the daughter.
No, it's the daughter, right? It's the daughter.
It is just flat out the daughter.
So she goes after her. This old lady goes after her daughter with a knife, and she's shocked into just standing there, which I think it would be.
Yeah.
But Toth tries to stop it, but somehow this old lady drives a big knife into his chest.
Manages to catch him.
And then basically, it doesn't end with a proper hammer ending, like everyone dies.
No.
We see him in a cell.
Kind of mopey ending.
Yeah.
Everyone stood around chanting Countess Dracula.
Yeah.
At the Countess.
Yeah. She's looking out the window of the cell, and we see Dobie just sitting there, kind of resigned to his fate.
Yeah.
Julie just sitting there, resigned to her fate.
As ever, just kind of nah. Sort of thing. Not bothered.
Yeah, and it ends. So, an odd one. It's
like, all the villains got their comeuppance, and most of the protagonists survived.
Yeah.
So.
Now, this was released in a stateside, and I think in the UK as well, as a double bill with Vampire Circus. They released the pair.
Okay.
And a lot of the critics preferred this one to Vampire Circus.
I can see it.
But both of them are kind of fairy tale-ish, aren't they?
Yeah.
Even though they're made by different people and stuff like that. So it was nominally inspired by Elizabeth. The
real-world story of Elizabeth
Bathory bathing in virgin blood and all that. I like the fact that it instantly worked. It's like, wow, has no one ever worked that out before?
No one got virgin blood on them at any other point in history.
Virgin blood. So it was okay. It doesn't offer, and I find the critics are kind of very Marmite on it. Some of them say, this is underrated. This is a much better film than is often. And others say, no, it's dreary, and it's just like court intrigue and stuff like that. But
intrigue in a vampire? What?
Well, yeah. I thought Pitt did a really good job. Actually, they dubbed her completely. She's got a Germanic accent. They dubbed her completely. An actress called Olive Gregg dubbed her. Good dubbing, I have to say.
Yeah, it was good voice acting work. So.
Yeah, and it wasn't flat, was it? It kind of worked with the scenes. So I think they did a good job with that dubbing. But fair, I don't see why they couldn't have just left it, because this is in England,
it's in Hungary, so
who cares? I think this was a bit of an international cast as well, so maybe the funding came from different places. Because the dashing young lieutenant was played by an actor called Sandor Ellis. Sounds Spanish. Oh, no, he's Hungarian.
Okay.
And then there was a few other characters that are clearly... Oh, I don't know, though. Actually, no, I think they were all pretty... No, they were all English or British.
Mostly English.
Yeah. The only one, like I see, we've seen before is Ingrid Pitt and the Gypsy Girl, who was Nikki Arigi.
Nikki Arigi.
Marianne Stone, who is an actress that's been in hundreds of films. She's always in the background of loads of different films, like Bond films. And
she's also in Carry On films.
Carry On films and Hammer films. Marianne Stone is one of the maids as well. It's kind of interesting. Carry On Dr. Fushall. She was the mother that took her son who got a pole stuck on his head. I remember that. So not bad. I'm not sure we got much else to talk about, really.
Yeah, there's not that much going on with this. So.
No. But it was okay, wasn't it? It wasn't too bad. How would you rate this one?
I would probably rate this like a 6 or something. 6.5, maybe.
Yeah, I give it a 6 as well. Yeah, that seems fair. And it's better than I remember it. I remember it being quite dull. But actually, I wasn't bored at all.
Yeah,
I thought it was kind of interesting, and I think the music helped, and the sort of intrigue.
The music was pretty good.
Yeah,
sort of little thing.
And Nigel Green bossed it really as Dobie.
Yeah,
he could not give a shit, could he? He really couldn't. Yeah. And they said, let's stop putting the blood on our Maria.
It's like kind of weirdly reminded me of The Hound. Game of Thrones.
Yeah, that was
let's just fucking get to it. Let's just do stuff. None of this dancing around crap. So.
I can totally see that. And I thought the Fabio was kind of a Games of Thrones kind of character too.
Yeah.
I can kind of see that. When you think about it, this is all a bit Game of Thrones actually.
I can definitely see Cersei doing this bathing
in blood, virgin blood. That I wouldn't be at all surprised if there was a scene in a later series where that happened. It didn't, but it wouldn't have surprised me if we would have found that out. That's certainly a thing. So not bad. And another Hammer. I think our third Hammer so far from 71. So, but I think there's
Hammer were busy that year.
six horror films. I think it was.
Good Lord.
71. Yes, they really were nailing it, and most of them are vampire or blood-related stuff. Because our next one's a vampire film as well. So we'll see. All right, then let's. Any final thoughts before we wind up?
Not really. The old lady makeup kind of just melted in the last scene.
Yeah.
So it looked really bad.
Well,
I guess it was supposed to, but it also didn't look convincing. So
no, it looked okay. Apart from being a bit yellow, it looked all right up until then. But it did. I mean, Dobie did say every time you do this, you age even worse when it goes away. Okay. So he does actually make that point. But yeah, I'm kind of with you there. I did like the jaunty hats throughout.
So many big hats.
Dobie's wearing a massive hat at the beginning.
Yeah, a big feather hat thing.
Like a Busby. Or a bearskin or something. And also the daughter is wearing a kind of Robin Hoodie kind of hat. And a fetching green dress before she gets carried off by the restless natives. So not bad. All right then, let's wind it up there. So bye from me.
Bye.